All right, we'll move on here from the best of the week. We will start with the NFL playoffs before we get into all of the stuff around uh, the big game coming up this Sunday. But Sean, we know the road. We'll talk about the teams that made it. Obviously, on the graphic here, you see New England and Seattle. We know who's playing for the Lombardi this Sunday. But in terms of the road to get here, and it being New England versus Seattle, and we've heard all of the things about New England had the easiest road here, and easiest run to a Super Bowl in NFL history. Which, first off, people use the word ever very freely. Um, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying we should probably go back and evaluate all AFC and NFC champions to see who had easy roads, because I'm sure there was plenty in the past. But we'll talk about New England and Seattle here in a minute. Looking at this playoff bracket, did we get the best, in your opinion, the best Super Bowl matchup possible? And if not, what are we missing out on?
Well, I mean, obviously, I would have preferred anything with the Eagles in it. But like when I predicted at the start, when I filled out my bracket and had Eagles Jaguars, I thought that if the Eagles woke up and played actual football, that would have been a really fun. I think the Jaguars getting through would have been really exciting because I think that they were on fire, and I think they were still on fire when they lost to Buffalo, and it would have been fun to see them ride that hot streak in. But I think, man, I just don't know. I mean, I want to say the Rams. Seahawks are probably the right team out of the NFC. I'm not trying to discredit New England with this statement, but I think there's a couple matchups I would have rather seen Seattle play, like a healthy Denver. I think let that train. These were two teams that were on top for a while. I mean, Denver ran the gauntlet pretty much in the AFC. I mean, you could argue the Patriots did too. I mean, I guess that's fair. I don't know. I mean, the Patriots at least are a good defensive team. You know me and my love for defense. So
Correct.
Seahawks, Texans, give me two defenses in the top five. And I don't think New England's in the top five. They're close, but I don't think
I think they were, at least in the regular season. I don't know
at
how
one point
exactly
they
it shook
were,
out.
because I know the Eagles made a push, and I know the Chargers were a top five defense for a while. So I haven't looked at the list, but I feel like it would have been fun if the Texans hadn't piddled it away too, to see if just defense. I would have liked Broncos, Texans, and then Seahawks, Rams. I would have been fine with any of those four, but we got the other one, and they're a good team. I don't think we got the worst matchup by any means. So it should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in my perfect world, my Chargers would be playing this Sunday, but unfortunately, that just wasn't to be.
Who's better than us? Nobody.
But no, I mean, the reality here is, I think in the NFC side, I think the best team did get here. I've kept saying, like, well, wait, what? Bad Sam Darnold's still in there, and by all means, he's still there. Me and a coworker were talking about it today when we were talking about the game. Is like that Week 18 playoff round one Sam Darnold from last year still is inside the man. Like, there's that's still certainly a possibility. But ultimately, they, for a team that was able to beat and kind of handle the Rams, and the Rams at times were tremendous this year, and at times that they looked. I mean, they struggled to beat a Titans team at one point this year. So, like, I never believed in this notion that the Rams were untouchable, that the Rams were unbeatable, or anything like that. That some people kind of put them on this pedestal. And certainly Seattle wasn't either. They had their struggles at times. I think a really fun matchup that or at least a fun team that we didn't get was the Chicago Bears. Now, granted that their rise to where they got was a little bit premature this year. And I think as we go through this offseason and see what they can add and kind of tweak to get to make to a better product, will be fun to see. But year one of Ben Johnson was an absolute blast. That Bears team was a lot of fun. I'm with you on the Jaguars, man. Like them losing to Buffalo, to me, when I look at everything that happened in this postseason, that feels like the game that the NFL fan lost on.
Right,
Because
you wound up with a real bad Josh Allen performance the following
Yeah.
week. Like almost like they exhausted themselves getting out of Jacksonville, which a lot of us have done. If you've ever driven through there, it's exhausting. But yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot to drive around that city. I've been there. But yeah, like that team, I think if they get out of there, it could have been a whole different ball game. I think they would have ended up drawing they would have drawn the Patriots, I think. Yeah, they would have drawn the Patriots, and the Texans would have gone on to Denver, and who knows how either of those games would change the entire AFC postseason. But and then of course the great unknown is if Bo Nix never gets hurt,
Right.
because that Denver team, like they weren't ever super flashy. They didn't blow a lot of teams out, but what was it? 11 of their 13 wins were by less than 10 points. Like it didn't matter if the game was a blowout or tight. Like they just found ways to win, and I would have loved to have seen that team.
Well, yeah, and Bo Nix, good days and bad days. Bo Nix looks like it looks like the kind of kid that's just a winner, and doesn't get fazed by a mistake, and doesn't, and they rally behind him. So it's the kind of thing in a close game in the snow and the weather. He brings a little bit more with his legs, I think, than Steedham does, obviously. And
Sure.
you have more weapons at your disposal. So whether or not, I think you stand a better chance, obviously, with Bo Nix, and we might have the Super Bowl that, probably, in my opinion, would have been the best matchup, taking the 1 versus 1. I think that would have been pretty ideal, but we got a good one, I suppose, and we got 1 versus 2, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and we'll certainly talk about it here in a second. Devin says he doesn't like the fact that one of the Dolphins' rivals have made it to the Super Bowl and they haven't sniffed one in a very long time. He said now he knows how I feel when the Eagles won last year, and of course the Tom Brady Patriots and their run. Yeah, it was a harsh realization. I knew that it was Super Bowl LX, and I didn't put it together that it's Super Bowl 60, and then the harsh reality set in that, and I knew, again, I knew that it's been 30 years since Dallas has been to one, has won one, has been to an NFC title game. But then, like, when I realized it, because on Dan Patrick they mentioned that it was Super Bowl 60, and I went, oh hell, the first 30, the Dallas Cowboys won 5 of them, and the second 30, literally the same number of Super Bowls, the Cowboys have won 0. And I'm like, shit, well, that sucks. So that was a really harsh reality just this week. So if anybody's going through it, you're probably doing better than me with that. But Deshaun, anything else on the road and how we've gotten to this point before we actually look at
I think we rode through the road, and we're here, and let's go ahead and preview some stuff.
Yeah.